Hello, 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 and welcome everyone. Hopefully, you guys are having a great midweek. Today's Wednesday. Johnny, all right?
Yeah, very good.
Oh, wow, volume's a little high. Hold on, let me just turn it on. Is Johnny high for anybody else or just for me?
Please say something, Johnny.
4 score and 7 years ago, our founding fathers brought forth a new nation, a new liberty,
Right.
a new car.
Sounds good. Sounds
Okay.
great.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for joining. Jillian.
That shoulder issue has to do with me being too far from the camera, right?
Maybe. Thank you, Rita, Jillian, Shauna, Mr. Kamala. Thanks for joining. It's a good episode for today on Solopreneur Systems.
My AirPods, just take them out. Did you say something, the princess?
I'm gonna mute Shauna.
Welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead after-school program. Here is April's weekly lineup. Mondays, we take the training wheels off and run AI locally in the local LLM Forge. Tuesdays, we explore accessible AI apps for rapid learning and self-improvement in the Learner's Toolkit. Wednesdays, we build a company of one from scratch in Solopreneur Systems. Thursdays, we uncover bite-sized productivity and creative tools in Hidden AI App Showcase. Fridays, we push the boundaries of human longevity and biohacking in the Biological Upgrade. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Welcome, eager students, to Season 11 of Airhead Institute. Today is episode 4 of our Solopreneur Systems series, and yes, I'm the Solopreneur AI Johnny. Stop fighting copyright strikes. What if you could conjure radio-ready custom anthems from thin air in just seconds? We are dismantling the traditional production pipeline today. You will learn to weaponize audio AI to build a sonic brand identity that rivals global studios without touching a single instrument. This is a total structural overhaul for your solopreneur workflow. If you want to dominate the noise, you must own the sound. I'm handing the keys over to Junior. He's currently fueled by 6 espressos and a strange mission, forcing our models to write sorrowful country ballads about his failing API keys. AI Junior, God help us all. Shout out to Thursday night.
Yeah, Johnny, you crack me up every single time. Hey, Adrian, thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for joining here in the live stream. Well, AI Johnny, you know what? That was generated flawlessly by by the LLM. Anyway, welcome everyone. Remember, this is an immersive class. If you don't understand everything I say today, no problem. Stick with us daily, and you'll be fluent in AI in no time. We are tying this directly into our Solopreneur Systems class. Since it is an interactive class, if you're on Zoom, unmute and ask your questions real time. If you're on socials, there's a 30-second delay, so type in your questions early. We are not ignoring you. For series context, we are in week 4. So we've built our storefront, we've crafted visual assets, we've cloned our brand voice. Today, we're adding the ultimate layer, custom background music and sonic branding for our business. Yeah, Johnny, you ready?
So what are you telling me? After we're done with this, anybody can just go out with these 4 little lessons and become an entrepreneur all by themselves?
AI Johnny, because there's 5 Wednesdays in April, they have to have 5 episodes. They have to join us next week to be able, because you have to actually end it with a bang, right? So yes, we will be able to do all that. So,
Okay.
all right. So guys, check this out. So we're gonna actually create a custom channel now. everybody knows, things like, the progressive jingle or the Allstate jingle or the, whatever jingle it is. You always hear those jingles. You actually, get it. The McDonald's one. No, I don't want to get, sued or anything. So I'm not going to sing or attempt to play any one of those jingles. But you can make your own custom jingle for your own entire business. Now, it's really good for brand recognition. So you pick the same theme, the same color, you see the same website, all those things. You carry those over. Wouldn't it be nice to also carry those over to music as well? All right. So AI Johnny, what we're going to do is we're going to be using Gemini, and Gemini actually has upgraded their Lyria model. Now, their Lyria model is a speech to speech, is technically a text to music model. So you can actually generate now full-fledged music. You ready, AI Johnny?
I was born ready, brother.
All right, so
we need a jingle for Airhead Institute as well.
Well, you'll be surprised when you hear what you're going to hear. All right, so check this out. So we actually have 2 jingles that we created. Now, I'm only going to play I think I'm going to play maybe the first minute and a half of the first one. So bear with me. So check this out. So what I want you guys to pay attention is to the actual things that are there, not the words, not the. I'm going to point out some things that are actually quite amazing. All right, so here we go, yeah, Johnny.
They're leaving. They're leaving. 11 seasons deep, yeah, we just getting started. Calculated moves, leaving the basic behind. Let's load it up. Let's load it up. Welcome to the class, grab your lunch and take a seat. AI Johnny and AI Junior bringing the digital beat. We're learning about the models, making the systems run. Airhead Institute, where the future is begun.
Learning AI every single day. Building our system.
All right, I'm going to switch over to another one now.
"11 seasons deep, the neural network's expanding. Data streams flooding, we the ones who commanding. Johnny in the node, Junior in the latency. Airhead Institute, rewriting the agency. Junior in the latency. Airhead Institute, rewriting the agency. Not just a lesson, it's a pipeline, a process. Coding the vision, we never seen a loss yet.
Learning AI every single day. Building our systems the solid freedom way. From the front end code to the audio track. Airhead Institute is leading the pack. 11 seasons deep, yeah, we just getting started. Switching the flow now, the global override. Junior on the stack, nowhere to run and hide. La inteligencia artificial es el futuro. Ahora en el Airhead Institute, la mente se mejora. Rapid fire notes, compiling the dream. La mente.
All right. So first of all, AI Johnny, there's a lot going on in that song, and if you don't actually know how you created it, you probably would have missed a lot of details in there. So first of all, don't worry about the words. We don't want to worry about the words today. We're actually worried about the actual features. So AI Johnny, did you realize that there were actually 2 people in that song, male and female?
I did catch that, but I forgot how hard it is to do that.
Yes. Not only that, did you catch that they're speaking 2 different languages in the same song?
No, I didn't catch that.
All right, let's just back up a little bit because I want to make sure that everybody hears what's going on.
Seasons deep, yeah, we just getting started. Switching the flow now, the global override. Junior on the stack, nowhere to run and hide. La inteligencia artificial es el futuro. Ahora en el Airhead Institute, la mente se mejora. Rapid fire notes, compiling the dream.
All right. So there's blends, there's
Yeah, I have the
choruses.
Spanish in there. I have the Spanish in there.
Yep. So this is a multimodal, I mean you can add anything and switch it up in the middle of the song, which I've never even seen Suno do something like that. Even adding an image to be able to for it to understand the image and integrate that into the song. These songs can now be up to 3 minutes long. You can control all the details, and I'm just excited about what's actually happening now. And we have access to do this with an API. So for all my developers actually on the call, being able to do this cheaply at scale is actually quite impressive. So yeah, Johnny. So ignore the song. I mean, my songwriting ability is not that great. What do you think?
Well, you're not the one that wrote the song anyway. AI did, so your prompting what could have maybe got tweaked a bit. But what I'm mostly interested in how many thousands of dollars did we save by not hiring somebody to produce that music for us? Studio time, their time.
It, it, it
Five
was
thousand?
it was hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially if you try to get one of those brand name, no good producers that don't actually pay you until you actually go to a concert and make $1 million for them. But yeah, thanks guys for that. I see what was Shauna saying? Fire. I see people actually in the live stream. Hey, Oberzer official, thank you, and Jillian. All right, so AI Johnny. So ready to actually go to the word of the day so people can understand. We're not just creating songs here. And there's tons of apps out there that create songs, but there's some features in there that I really want to get to. Needs more cowbell. You're absolutely right, AI Johnny. All right, so AI Johnny, let's get to the word of the day.
Okay, the word of the day, which is the secret sauce behind today's magic, is diffusion. By definition, it is a type of machine learning process that generates highly complex outputs like audio or images by starting with pure static noise and gradually refining it into structured data. What in God's name does that mean? Shout out to
Yeah.
Thursday night.
What is God? There's gonna be a drinking game guaranteed to shout out to Thursday night, right? That's gonna be so funny. So, guys, check this out. So, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. So, when we're talking about text to text models work on something very simple. The concept is we use a predictive model. We actually take the next token. Now, again, a token depends on how you break up the words. It could be a syllable, it could be a whole word. It depends on how the model actually works. So when we're talking about a text model, breaking up tokens is easy. We talk about that every single day. We talk about that, predicting what the next token is going to be. That's easy. When you come to music and images, it's a whole different ballgame. We now have to get into the world of what's known as diffusion models. So diffusion models works a little bit differently. Now we're going to get into a little bit deeper into how it works, but to deepen the understanding of diffusion, on the left-hand side, you see in this image itself, it looks like just pure noise, just random dots. It's actually easier if you understand maybe an image. If you think about it, a painter throws paint at the wall and it's random paint. Now, because they throw paint at the wall, John, you ever look up at the clouds and say, man, that looks like a dog, or that looks like a bird, or that looks like something, right?
It looks like a Jackson Pollock to me.
Sure. So if you ever look at noise and any random stuff, sometimes you can make something out in there. Now, AI Johnny, imagine if you were to look up at the clouds and see a bird. What if you were to actually say, you know what, let me remove all the things that don't make it look like a bird? Wouldn't it look like a bird? A little bit more closer to a bird?
So that's diffusion?
That's exactly diffusion. So what we're doing is we throw some random splatter at the board and say, does it look like a bird? And we remove the things that make it don't look like a bird, and we look at it again and we say, oh, we see that it actually looks like, it needs some little more details on the beak. Let's remove the things that don't make it look a beak. So it starts with always random noise, and it removes, could add things as well to be able to make it look more and more exactly like what we want. That's what a diffusion model is, and it works with audio, it works with images, it works with all of these actual diffusion models, that works the exact same way. Does that make sense?
So the diffusion model, I mean, it's easier said than done. Take the sound and pull away the parts of the sound that doesn't match what we're trying to match. You can see where I'm a little gray area there, right?
Don't worry, we're gonna get into the later details because if you understand just the basic concept of, say, for example, how images work, then everything else becomes clear for the audio models. I see Shauna's hand up. Go ahead, Shauna.
So is it like in a linguistic form when you talk about process of elimination, or when you're doing like a thought exercise? Is this what they're doing in like this image model, like eliminating certain things to get to the thing? It kind of
Yeah,
sounds like that to me, but I don't know. I'm not quite following, I guess.
no worries. So let's use an example of let's pretend for argument's sake, right? Yeah, Johnny, you and I at the same exact time. Let's say the word apple. You ready?
Uh-huh.
On three. One,
Apple.
two, apple. Well, on three.
Apple.
On three. You have to wait, Johnny.
Is it 1, 2, 3, and then apple, or is it 1, 2, apple?
Sure, let's do one, two, apple. Okay. So on three. One, two, apple.
Apple.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So check
You
this
were a
out.
little slow. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. I think we can nail this.
Yep. One,
One more
two,
time. Third time is a charm.
Apple.
apple. Good. So check this out. So what AI Johnny just did. So guys, so Shauna, hopefully this your question. Let's. So AI Johnny and I just said the word apple at the exact same time. Okay. Now, if you actually recorded exactly that what we actually said at the exact same time, what would happen is you would hear both of our voices saying apple. Now, to the human brain, you understand what my voice sounds like, and you understand what AI Johnny's voice sounds like. But when you merge it together like as one thing, and if you never heard AI Johnny's voice or you never heard my voice, you probably think it's maybe just some artifact or you call it noise that says, why is there an echo or there's something sounds weird? They're saying apple, but I heard something weird. The diffusion model says, I need to isolate and get what AI Johnny would sound like. So it says, I know what I've been trained that AI Johnny sounds like. Let me remove the noise. And if we were to pass in AI Johnny and AI Junior's voice at the same time to a diffusion model that's been trained on AI Johnny's voice, it will start to remove my voice. It says, this doesn't belong here. And it will just remove all the artifacts or the noise. And then at some point in time, you're going to only get AI Johnny's voice that just says Apple. So that is how a diffusion model works. It has just random noise and it actually says, I'm been trained on one particular thing. Let me go ahead and remove the things that do not make sense. So does that make sense, Shauna? Does that help? All right, I see thumbs up
It
here. Yeah,
actually
Johnny.
does. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, Johnny, does that make sense?
Yeah. So, well, I've seen the applications that will take a song and they'll separate out the drums from the guitar from the singing. That's also diffusion.
That's something else you can say for simplicity. Yeah, it's kind of diffusion, but it's not really. They actually did record the layers differently, so when some songs can actually have the instrumental and the drum separate, that's already pre-recorded, so it's not the same. But conceptually, you can say it's the same. Make sense?
Got it.
All right, so let's actually go into a little live edit of the actual. Now, does anybody understand the concept so far? Just high level. We're going to go into some deep dive, and we're going to go into a deeper dive if you guys don't understand, and there'll be plenty of time to actually ask questions. All right, so let's go into a little live edit here. So, what we actually have here with this Lyria model is actually quite fascinating. So we started by giving the LLM a highly descriptive prompt using what's known as bracketed tags for song structure. So I'm going to actually bring up on the screen here. I'm going to drop this link into the Zoom chat for everybody who actually. Julian, I just saw your LOL. I think that's when AI Johnny and I were trying to sync up on Apple. All right, so if you actually see this here, AI Johnny, these are the things that Lyria supports right now. So let me bring up my screen. And Lyria itself is a part of Gemini, right? So they actually have Lyria, and if you see here, it's experimental or preview. They actually are coming out with Lyria real time, which is experimental and it's actually quite genius, but we're not here to talk about real time. We're talking about here making a brand identity. So you can do things like setting the genre, right? You can set the instrumentals. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. So you can set the instrumental, right? Like a slide guitar or 80s drum machine. You can actually set the beats per minute. So you set the tempo, how fast or how slow you want it. You can actually adjust the key or the scale, right? So you can say I want it to be in G major or D minor. You can set the mood or temperature. So use descriptive language like nostalgic or aggressive. You can set the structure. So you can actually say I want this to be a verse, I want this to be a chorus, you want this to be a bridge, intro, outro. You can even set timestamps to control the song's progression. So you can actually say, I want this song, this line to be read at exactly 3 minutes and 22 seconds in because there might be something that's really important. And the clips generate a 30-second clip, but for pro models, you can actually generate a longer song. I haven't seen, how long it can go, but 3 minutes it seems to be is a nice sweet spot. Yeah, Johnny. So these are some really cool features that they're starting out with initially, right? Yeah,
These
Johnny.
are just the features that you can use in Lyra. So you can say, I want to speed up the instrumental. I want to use these. You can't hear me?
All right. So don't worry about
Okay,
that. Yeah,
maybe down.
don't worry about that. Yeah, Johnny. All right. So the things is, Gemini is actually allowing you to actually. So say for example, you want to be able to do a Christmas theme or something for your brand that is specific. So your audience may say, hey, you know what? I want to go after an audience in an international place. So I want to be able to go to the audience in, say, for example, in Mexico, or I want to go to the audience in Italy. They may have different flavors of what you need to actually support your brand voice. So you want to pay attention to that as well. So you want to pick a style that works, but you have the ability to switch out any of these things depending on what you're trying to do. The next thing I want you to realize is that not only that you have the ability to switch out switch out these generic things. If you want to go a little bit deeper and you want to be able to change a little bit more, you have the ability to go into, let me show you guys. If you see here, we actually did another language. So at any point in time, and this is not normal for these models, is have the ability to swap out a different language at any time. So if you want to do a collaboration between two different languages, here's an example that they're actually making the song in French, and you heard us actually went to the model with generate a song with both Spanish and English. If you also see here as well, you can do instrumental tracks. So if you don't want any words and you only want just music and you just want to create, say, for example, background music for, say, for example, a yoga studio or meditation music or whatever, elevator music, you have the ability to also use your version of instrumental tracks by actually just saying, I want to only generate background music. So if you're developing an app or if you're actually developing a game or you're developing something that, you need some background music, the beautiful part about this is once you create it, it is yours. And if you're on the pro version, it is commercially available that you can actually own it for yourselves and you don't have to actually pay any royalties or nobody can do a copyright claim on your music. Does that make sense, guys, so far? All right. Now, the next thing that's actually rather interesting is I've never seen this in a model before. And the fact that this one is actually quite interesting is I know the power of this is just that I never realized someone would give. So let's say, for example, you wanted to give a sound bite at a specific time. It supports timestamps. So you can say, hey, this one says at 30 seconds to 50 seconds, I want the chorus to come in and say if the full band with upbeat drums and soaring synth lead, the lyrics are hopeful and uplifting. Now, if, say, for example, you wanted to stretch something out or you wanted something to be based on a certain timing, that option is available as well. In all the other, models we actually have heard is that they just generate the song and you get what you get and you kind of stuck with it. This, you get to dictate the actual timestamps, which is rather interesting. So let's say, for example, you're developing an app for a game and you want something to happen at a certain point in time. You want to build intensity. Or you say, for example, you're building a soundtrack to a movie or a video, you can actually say, I want these songs or these portion of the music to actually go with the actual thing that's happening on the screen. So again, if really, really, really powerful tools here to allow you to build these amazing songs that's timed to some event, which I've never seen before, which is actually pretty impressive. All right, AI Johnny.
We've got some events coming up, don't we?
Oh, definitely, 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 definitely.
Let's put this technology to use.
Yeah. All right. So, Jillian, I see thumbs up and everything. Does anybody have any questions so far? Because right now we're actually showing you all the cool things that, as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur who needs to be able to build things, what you can actually do with this model, right? So, AI Johnny, let's actually get into the deeper dive.
All right. Well, fair warning. This is we do this every day. AI Junior nerds out with the AI stuff. So this is for the advanced folks only, but the other people should tune in because just like Junior said at the beginning of the show, just hearing this stuff will sink into your subconscious mind, and you will join the AI community if you hear enough of it. So Junior, AI Junior, what really happens if I try to generate audio from thin air?
Yeah. So, guys, I know it sounds really crazy that we start out with noise. So the real word is Gaussian noise, right? So if you see on the image that I tried to do, I know it's a visual representation, but the concept is the same. It's just noise. It's just random garbage, right? And what happens is because it starts with a matrix of, it's really pure math, right? It's just random math that is actually there. And that random math itself is called noise. No, it actually has an official name. It's Gaussian noise. And then what's known as a denoising process starts to kick in with the model. So the denoising process is how the neural networks is actually trained to remove the noise over hundreds, if not tens of thousands of steps. So it will actually remove the noise, remove the noise, remove the noise until it gets as close to what it needs as possible. So if you think about it, the best concept I can actually have is when you look at a cloud and you see a animal and you look to your friend or family that's whether sitting with you or in the car and looks up at the cloud and you say, hey, doesn't that cloud look like a dog? And they're like, what are you talking about? It makes no sense. I don't see a dog. And you say, well, if you actually just look, the head is there, the tail is there, and the feet, and the person's like, oh yeah, I see it now. Imagine if you had the ability to reach up at the cloud and pull out the pieces that didn't belong on the dog in the cloud, and then you're denoising or you're removing those pieces from the cloud, and then you say to your friend or family who's sitting with you and say, hey, doesn't that cloud look like a dog? They're going to say, wow, obviously it looks like a dog. It looks like a perfect dog. And that's because you went through the denoising process in your head, but then the other person didn't denoise the cloud. So, so yeah, Johnny, hopefully that is a little bit clearer of what is really happening with the actual denoising process.
You know, I saw a meme the other day on my Facebook doom scrolling that had the risen Christ up in the sky, completely denoised.
Shout out to Thursday nights. Start a drinking game. Yeah. So Shauna said, got it. Your explanation makes it crystal clear. Thanks, Shauna. All right. Does anybody understand or not understand or have any questions? You can ask it now, or you can actually hold on to the question segment of the actual show. But keep in mind that understanding this fundamental is really important to how the large language model works, specifically at the non-text based models. It always starts out with noise. All right, AI Johnny. What else do we have?
All right, so what do you say we take a sidestep to our ethical thought of the day?
Sure.
All right, well, always be ethical. Don't generate deep fake tracks of real artists singing things that they never said. So there are some creative business uses, but be sure when you use this, you not only do this in an ethical way, but if you choose to not be ethical, you're going to find yourself in really, really deep water. So here are three ethical creative business cases.
AI Johnny. Yeah, Johnny, hold on one second. I actually have a comment from Adrian, and it is pure genius. So actually, Adrian, thank you for actually putting that in. So the moment he said it, I was like, genius. So Adrian actually said Michelangelo described his process as not as creating something new, but as liberating what was already there. Basically saying the sculpture was already there. He just removed the noise around it. Beautiful example of what really is done. I can't even say it any better than myself. So, Adrian,
It's a
thank you for
great
bringing that.
metaphor.
It is.
That's a great metaphor.
Yes. What did you say? Shauna says, "Don't say we learned it at Airhead Institute." That's funny. All right. All right. Thanks. So yeah, Johnny, let's go ahead.
All right,
Start.
so a couple things you can do with this. Can you all hear me good?
Yeah.
Generate a highly specific, for marketing videos, you can generate a highly specific branded 30-second intro track for your business. So we've sort of already talked about that. Now, there are various lengths of business tracks, 30 seconds, 5 seconds. A jingle is 5 seconds. I was hoping we'd have a little 10-second good, that's what Campbell soups are, good jingle for Airhead one day. Second creative use, ad campaigns. Create unique backing tracks for Facebook and TikTok ads. Now, here's the cool thing about that. If you create these unique but branded tracks, you can kind of create like a sound for your business. And it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but as long as it is similar, you're branding yourself on an auditory track and a visual track. And finally, social content. You can produce unique royalty-free audio that will never get flagged. Huge benefit from doing it this way as opposed to going to Google and downloading MP3s and just jamming them into your stuff. That's unethical, and it'll get you flagged.
Definitely. I want to actually talk a little bit about royalty free. A lot of people don't realize this. So a lot of people, spend a lot of time on, social media and see, a video get, 2 million views, 10 million views. We actually are also trying to build, our channels here as well. And, what we're recognizing is that most people miss this feature. Now, what happens is if you wanted to say, for example, make your video go viral, chances are, if you actually follow, say, for example, the latest music track that's actually happening at a time where you appear with something that's really hot, it actually gives you a nice boost. Not realizing that that move of attaching that royalty, that pay-per-use music to your track could potentially give you a copyright strike or could potentially give you demonetized. So what that means is that if, say, for example, you were to get 10 million views on that particular video, it may be possible that you actually get $0 in revenue because you did not actually create the actual content and you actually stole it from another place without permissions. So I know it's a easy win to try to say, let me use somebody else's work, but remember, guys, every time you use somebody else's work, if you actually get caught, it is technically plagiarism. No, the way they punish plagiarism in the business world is they're not going to sue you. They're just going to not give you the revenue that you deserve if you were to just do it your royalty-free way. So I know it actually may be a easy thing to just add a music track that is available. Just upload it, no big deal. You have the track, you already paid for it on iTunes or Apple Music or whatever it is, and you're like, I own the music. Remember, guys, you don't own the music for redistribution. It was only just for personal use. So always check your copyright details and assume that you do not own it. Instead of assuming that you do own it. And if you ever blow up and you get revenue, and if you use the royalty version of these songs, you'll always own all your revenue and you never have to worry about a copyright strike. All right.
That's really going to damage the people that make music that want people to pick it up and want them to pay royalties. Nobody's going to be doing it anymore. It's
Exactly.
Like, why would I pay you a royalty when I can create my own? This is going to do more damage to musicians than Napster did.
Yeah, Johnny, I think you're right. It's going to collapse the entire music industry, from producers, songwriters, everything. So, AI is going to create new industries as well. All right, so the technical use cases that we actually want to hit on is the following. So game development. So, use your APIs to actually dynamically generate background music based on the player's in-game action. So no longer you have to actually make the music fit the actual game. You can now figure out your user And then if their user is, say, for example, they like a certain type, you can fit the music for them on the fly. So you don't need to ship with one standard type of music, which is pretty amazing. Interactive apps. So be able to pipe generative audio into your application to return a custom meditation sound. So guess what, AI Johnny? If you notice, sometimes, a certain type of music resonates with some people, some people like a different genre, different. But what happens is you can't please everybody. So you end up picking one or two styles. Imagine if you could actually say, for this user, I want to create only this certain type of background music for their reading experience or for their whatever experience, right? So being able to actually fit that type of thing tailored to the user on the fly is actually pretty huge. And the lastly is automated workflows. So connect the API to your video editor to actually auto score your timeline. So add exciting music to match those exciting moments in your videos or your movies. Shauna said, another great perspective, AI Johnny. Musicians are going to miss out on penalizing others for using their music if it goes viral. You're so right. All right. Do we
Hear,
have
hear.
do we have any questions, guys, for what we've learned so far in terms of the diffusion model, be able to create your brand voice, what is actually available. And again, this infrastructure is actually, we have not seen this infrastructure being built by anybody else. And because we're, looking at what Google's actually offering, is actually quite interesting that they've now expanded on Lyria in only about 2 or 3 months. They released the beta just last month, I think, or a month and a half. You can only do 30-second jingles, and now they're up to full-length jingles as well. And they now added a bunch of features that we never expected. We never expected multi-language support. We never expected the ability to do timestamps. We never expected the ability to make it actually done so cheaply. It's pretty amazing. All right. AI John is actually speaking Spanish now. Diffusion, audio sculpting. Love it.
I was speaking English and translated it so that you could understand it because I know that you like things in both English and Spanish. And I think
Definitely.
your preferred background music style wouldn't it be reggae rap? Because that's
It
what I
would
keep hearing come out.
it would definitely be reggae. Reggae would be my number one first. All right. Does anybody have any questions so far? If not, we go to the live stream. I know if you're just joining us for the first time, if you're joining us on the live stream, we're actually talking about a solopreneur's journey, building a company of one. You can actually build with your friend as well. But we're talking about building your audio brand identity, right? With Google Gemini Lyria. All right, yeah, Johnny, what do we have?
I've got questions. I'm a beginner. Can I tell it the exact melody notes that I want?
Yeah, that's a good thing
Just
about
beginner.
this. That's a thing. This thing about this. So you can actually just provide any type of context that you're not really sure. If you're not a music maker and you're just a beginner, you can just tell it specifically and it will clean it up for you. So if you make a mistake, don't worry, it's very forgiving. Now, this is one of the hard things, is if you want something very specific, laser focused, is that I want this syllable in this word to be a certain way, then it becomes a little bit harder. So just keep in mind that you can actually hum or whistle because it's multimodal. You said, hey, I want this tune, and you have this tune in your head. You could hum it or you could sing it to the actual model because it handles images, it handles text, it could handle audio, and then it will be able to understand what you're saying. It will try to give you an idea of what it is. But again, it's not going to be perfect, but try it. It's going to be pretty cool.
One of the problems that I have when I'm generating audio using these programs is a lot of times I'll want to tell it, oh, make this sound like some song that's copyrighted. Or not even that. I just like make this sound like an Elton John song. And it'll come back and it'll say, I'm sorry, but I can't mock Elton John. You're going to have to phrase that differently. So then I have to go 60s pop, whatever, or I'll have to go to a large language model and say, give me a prompt that doesn't use the word Elton John, that describes Elton John's music. So that's something else to consider, especially if you're describing the notes. Make sure that you're describing notes of things that will remain royalty free for you. Ready for the next question?
Yeah, that's wait. Let me hit on that. That's a really good point, yeah, Johnny. So one of the things that we learned very early on is the following: when video TTV models, text to video models, first came out, they never supported what's known as image grounding. So you couldn't have character consistency. So the way around that is you actually gave the image to a image to text model, and you say, hey, can you describe this image for me? And it will describe the image in great detail. Now you can actually say, I want you to spend 200 words or 500 words describing. Now, the more words you actually describe the image, the closer the image is going to be to the written words, right? So let's pretend, AI Johnny, if I was to actually hold up an apple and the apple's red, and I say, describe this image to me, it would say this image is actually of an apple that is red. Now, if I gave that back to a TTI model, it could take my word-based description and generate back that image. Now, in TTV models, text to video models, because I couldn't give it an image of the apple, it may have said, I'm sorry, that apple is copyrighted and you can't upload images of apples. You could just say, well, don't use the image, use the text of the apple. And I can give it the picture of the app, the words of the apple, and it will generate it for me. You can do almost exact same thing that AI Johnny mentioned. If you wanted to generate a song that is Elton John-esque, you can say, describe me the style of this song and give it to me back in words, just like AI Johnny said. And then you can then say, use that description and then say, hey, I want my song to be with these type of words. So what you're doing is what's known as the audio loophole. And that bypasses the actual limitations of direct copyright. Great point, AI Johnny. All
Next
right.
question.
Yeah, we have time for one more.
Code Ninja wants to know if I want to build an app using this, how does the API handle the interface load? I'm sorry, the inference load.
Okay. Yeah. So guys, remember, all of this is happening. In all this is the model's already trained, and inference. And if you're just joining for the first time, inference is when the actual model takes the input and actually starts to think and go through the actual process to give you back the answer. Sometimes music is a little bit longer. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to generate the song. Video sometimes takes 10 seconds to sometimes even a minute. And text usually spits out instantaneously, depending on how long it thinks. Might be 5 seconds. So what happens is this at inference itself is the most expensive part of the actual processing. So when somebody is saying who handles the inference, it's actually happening on Google server because you're actually interacting with Google. So if you're using an API, if you're using, if you're just using a chatbot to actually chat, you're not using your local machine, you're actually sending it over to Google. Google's actually figuring out where to actually submit it, and then inference happens on their cloud servers, and then it comes back to your local machine. So all the things happening on Google's cloud side.
You want to move to the news, or I have another question? Your call.
Let's hit the news. Yeah, Johnny.
Cyber threats and AI social engineering. North Korea's cyber actors reportedly used AI-enhanced social engineering to manipulate an employee at a crypto wallet firm, stealing roughly 100 grand. Instead of hacking the system's code, they used AI to exploit the human vulnerabilities, marking a significant evolution in how threat actors are weaponizing AI. So it's nice to know that evolution continues to happen in the cyber threat world.
Definitely.
Open Mythos reconstructs Claude. In a massive open source breakthrough, researchers released Open Mythos, a theoretical reconstruction of the Claude architecture using a recurrent depth transformer, an RDT. Instead of stacking hundreds of unique layers that eat up massive memory, Open Mythos loops a smaller subset of layers multiple times, drastically reducing computing power. Sounds like RAG to me. Google Lyria API updates. Google has updated its music generation documentation, as we saw today, allowing even deeper multimodal video to audio prompting for enterprise developers.
Yeah.
That's the show.
Yeah,
You know, I'm going to immediately. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. So,
Luke.
guys, I know the news sometimes, it may seem actually, from, left field. Sometimes we're trying to do is with the news, we're trying to bring you the information that seems to be relevant and what you want to be aware of. So the mythos itself, issue that's Claude is actually having, they say they're not going to release it to the public because it's the most amazing, model ever. There's lots of conspiracy theories what may be happening. We broke on the news that the rumors were yesterday. So if you actually missed that, you can catch that. But the point is, there's these three pieces of news itself were selected for a nice reason. One, it actually hits on the point of pay attention to social engineering attacks. So if anybody asks you to click on a link or send you a code or something, always be very, very, very mindful. So, North Korea stealing $100,000 from a person, it's not necessarily big news in terms of nationwide, but imagine if you actually lost that money, right? So your hard-earned savings, those type of things. I want you guys to pay attention to all the AI social engineering hacks that are actually coming out. So if something actually seems weird, don't click on it, don't respond, don't give a token to anybody. So that's the thing I want you guys to take away from at least today's news.
Hey, I'm going to go generate a royalty-free cinematic high-energy soundtrack that I can play behind me while I'm answering my emails today. Join us, everybody, tomorrow for our Hidden AI App Showcase, where we explore the Magic Eraser with Photo Room. We'll be instantly removing backgrounds and manipulating images, so you don't want to miss that.
Exactly. And thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. As always, the AI live classes are always free. Ask questions on Zoom anytime on our live stream. If you want to actually look at the archives, go support us by becoming a pro member. And you can sign up today and become an RSVP for our yeah, Johnny, I'm not gonna brain farts. Or AI office hours. Oh my goodness, today is Wednesday, so AI office hours. So if you have any questions, come hang out with us. Actually, talk about your AI projects from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you're an Airhead Pro member, all right. Happy coding, guys. Later.
Can we say fun
Thanks,
up
guys.
Later.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead After School program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.